All right, class, settle down. Class is in session. Everyone get to your seats. Hey there, YouTube. I'm Yukitsu. This is the Yukitsu Times. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to Banished, and a little bit of a continuation of this series. I'm going to be talking a little bit about making sort of a more personalized town and sort of where I like to go after what I've already shown you. So at this point in time, we've got ourselves a basic city sort of on the verge of success, and we can really have all of our possibilities opened up to us once we've made it to year 4 and have done things that make sense. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take advantage of that by making sure that our city is well presented. So one of the things I like doing is getting a fairly early school, and the reason is that this produces educated little, I'm going to call them Sims, I guess, and these little guys become much more effective workers when they're educated. So getting them like that is a huge priority if you want to have efficient workers. Of course, you could always just sort of rely on having really good organizational skills yourself, but honestly I find it easier if I've got myself a more educated worker base. It just makes life easier. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to queue that up for our 4th year. You don't have to do this again. This is my personalized spin on a town. Now, what I think that I like on this particular map is making it into a trade style town. So what we're going to also do is plot out where we're going to be putting our trade depot, and that's going to be something that we're going to get fairly early on. I'm thinking somewhere like around here. If we want to, we can actually delete some of our roads here. So let's go ahead and delete this chunk of road. Okay, so let's get rid of that, and that is going to give us the opportunity that we need to sort of expand our city out this way in a more sort of directed manner, in my opinion. But let's just see how our guys actually do things. Sometimes they don't like deleting roads, and that just makes it hard to sort of plan out our city. Another thing that we're going to do as far as deleting roads goes is I like to remove a section of road where I'm going to put my market, and you can place down your market over like here, and what I can do is I can actually have my people path around just around that lip on both sides of it, and have a double wide line of houses in there, and that just works out very perfectly. Okay, so it looks like we've got people who are quite young in these houses. We can build like one more house maybe, but we're gonna hold off on that for a year. For now, what we're going to do though is look towards building ourselves another one of these gathering huts. Just actually no, we feel pretty secure with our food right now, so we're going to build a hunting cabin first, and we just want to get both of them eventually. We're going to get hunting cabin first, and that will be another source of leather for this guy who we're going to fire because he's done, and we're going to fire this guy because he's done. And you're just going to want to sort of wobble that back on and off because these people are going to finish their jobs early on when you've got limited resources or a limited amount of stored tools required. You don't need to increase the limit of stored tools past 50 at the early onset of the game, honestly. You can just leave it as is, and it'll basically be perfectly fine for quite some time. Just make sure that when you do this, you keep an eye out on your number of clothes, and you've got an eye out on the number of tools that you've got, because you don't want those to fall to 0. Okay, we are going to get ourselves a teacher, and that we're going to keep on all the time. We don't want to ever not have a teacher, because that's just going to produce a generation of dumbasses. So yeah, education is good. Okay. That means that our people, though, our young children, are not going to enter the labor pool as soon as they hit 10. What's going to happen is they're going to hit 10 or whatever, and they're going to become students, and they're going to be students for until they're like 20, which is quite a long amount of time, honestly, but that's what they're going to be doing. And when they're doing that, that means that they're becoming much more productive. I think it doubles their productivity, basically, and basically it's a good trade-off, in my opinion. Even though they keep out of your labor pool for a lot longer. So it really depends on how you want to run this, and I happen to prefer having an educated workforce. I think it ends up working a little bit better than the alternative, but we'll have to see how that works out for us in this particular case. Now, one of the reasons that I think that a trading city would be a good idea for this one is the way I like to run my trading cities is I like to have this sort of vast estate land back here, convert it into ranches and farms, and what happens is if it's farms, the people there sort of live off the farms and they sort of sustain themselves, and you can do whatever with that money or that food, and it's kind of meh. But when you've got the sort of like river adjoined directly to it, you can sort of filter the like resources up towards the stream, up into your city, and into the river where you can trade it for other goods. And that happens to be a really strong way to get things in this game. So we're going to show you how to set up that trading style town. Now, first of all, of course, I need to up-prioritize them deleting this road because obviously it's just not going to get done otherwise. And let's go ahead and up-prioritize deleting that road as well. Why not? And what this is going to do is let me figure out where we want our trading port. Now, it is far too early for me to actually get my trading port. That's just not realistic in this particular time frame, so we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to figure out where to put it, and that's an important thing since that lets me sort of build around it and not accidentally use up that land. So, okay, so we're going to build our trading post here, and we're going to set this on pause since we don't want that built just yet. And that lets us sort of re-road around it here, so let's go ahead and do that. Go. And let's build another house, I suspect. Yeah, let's build another house. We can build two houses, actually, that'll fit in there nicely. So, the reason I'm building these neat rows of houses is it lets us get a lot of population density. You absolutely do not have to arrange your houses in this sort of grid pattern like I'm doing. I just have to find sort of the most aesthetic way to do it. I think nice, neat rows of houses looks good. I know a lot of people disagree, so if you're one of those people that disagrees, don't worry about it. Like, you can build it however you want. You can have them in zigzags, you can have them whichever. Do keep in mind, though, that the efficient grid system is going to have more density. So if that's important to you, you do have to have sort of an efficient pattern in mind when you're building. But if that's not important to you, then, you know, all the power to you. I mean, it's pretty easy even without that. My first city, I didn't build them any sort of logical structure, and it worked out fine, and honestly, I was pretty happy with it. So as you can see, we've got lots of people being born, we've got lots of people becoming students, but those students will not enter the workforce until they're quite a bit older, so we're not going to have that influx of laborers. So at this point in time, we want to keep our new jobs to a relative minimum, and we just want to make sure that we're, like, we can build another few hunters, just because we got this new hunting cabin. Keeping that sort of occupied would be a good idea, since that would also bring in more leather so that we can get our guy here working again. How much leather do we have, actually? We got 18 leather. We may as well get this guy working again. There we go. But yeah, as you can see, we did need those houses actually quite badly, so that's a good thing that we did that. And we also need those jackets quite badly, now that I think about it. Age disparity on these is a little bit disheartening, but that's fine. And let's get ourselves over here. Now, I kind of want to build a bridge over it here pretty much soon, because I feel that there's some resources that I could tap more easily and more effectively if I went over there, so we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to reduce our workers down one. We've got all our houses that we're going to be building this year done already, and that was quite quick, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. I am, however, going to build a road down to here. And we're going to build it like this. So not actually on the Hunter Lodge, but that's fine, that's close enough for, good enough for government work. So what exactly is the benefit of a trading sort of town? Well, eventually you're going to reach a point where everything has to travel incredibly far distances if you're using farms to feed your population, because you end up with sort of very broad sprawl of people trying to get around the map to deposit things from farms. What this does is it lets me have a much more focused, smaller town with a very intense production of sheep and cows over a fairly small geographic area, and for all the stone that I would normally have to trek all the way across the map for, like, you can already see me traveling quite far to get stone. I can, at that point in time, just sort of trade for it. I don't have to go anywhere, and it's quite easy to get large farms set up such that I can get that trade going for me, and working that to my advantage here. So let's check our food again. We're hovering at around 1,000 still, so we're going to be okay. We're going to add one more hunter just for the hell of it, and we're going to fire this guy again because, again, he's run out of leather to work with. Well, actually, we just got another shipment of leather, but that's okay. He's fired anyway. He'll get his job back pretty soon, so don't worry about him. Now, one of the other things I want to worry about is these foresters, and the problem with them is that, like, the forest grows back naturally, so it's hard to tell how well they're doing, but trust me, they do a good job. We are going to want another one, though. Typically, that's sort of what you want to see in a village once it starts getting a little bit bigger, especially because of how much you use for firewood. Now, the reason that I've built all my houses out of stone is that they burn far less fuel, and that's actually quite useful. It means that we don't have to chop as much firewood, obviously. We're actually going to increase our limit to 400 right now, and when they're chopping less firewood, then it makes it much easier to keep your village sustained, since you're worrying a lot less about how much wood you're using every year. Like, normally, I think you use twice as much if you've got wood houses, so wood houses end up costing you a ton more wood, so you need a lot more forester lodges. But you know what, sometimes it's okay, sometimes that's not a problem, other times it is. You just want to keep an eye out on that as to which situation you're in. Now then, we want to make sure that we are getting enough of our resources set up such that whenever we want, we can expand our population without having to worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and also get another gathering hut down here. And looks like actually I had everyone fired off of building, so no one was getting anything built. Fantastic, go me. Okay. And the problem here is, again, like, we got 7 students, but we haven't had an increase in adults in quite a while. And I mean, I think they're students up until they're 20, which is quite old, but well, maybe it's not 20, but it's quite old regardless. It looks like we also need another house. Okay. Go ahead and build that there. And I do want that Forester Lodge built quite quickly. Now, you might be thinking, for a trading town, I'm taking an awfully long time on this trading post. Well, the reason for that is that what I like to trade is for fur coats, or sorry, hide coats. And they take a long time to sort of build up a stockpile of them. Like, a really long time to build up a stockpile of hide coats. The reason being that, of course, you get a slow trickle of hide from each of these hunting cabins, and you need a fairly large population before you're getting really a good return on that. Now, when you've got that set up, it takes a while to set that up, but once you've got it rolling, you can start getting more and more trading posts, because you'll find that you can actually sustain like 3 trading posts off of a fully developed fur trading city or hide trading city. And that's just a really strong way to play this game if you want to be playing it that way. I happen to actually think that's a really fun way to play it, since it's a little bit more intensive, it's a little bit more management heavy. But if that's not your style, then there are other ways to play it, obviously. You can actually set the trading posts up so that they'll auto-purchase, but I find that very risky, so I tend not to do it. But, you know, things, it varies depending on what you want to do. The common thing that people do is, like, they'll have it set to automatically purchase wood. Or, sorry, not wood, stone. But that's for people who set up their economy so that they're constantly trading firewood. I think that's incredibly risky because of how much labor that really requires, it seems. But, you know, different strokes for different folks. Okay, so our first students are starting to trickle into our labor pool. Perfect. That means that we're going to be getting a few more workers, because Lord knows we need workers. Jesus Christ. Okay, let's get another guy so that we have someone working on the stone house here, and we can actually build another stone house here. Perfect. Okay, the problem with this is, of course, is that our foresters will sort of not be very well manned yet, but the thing about these guys is that you just sort of need one, and they'll automatically harvest the best trees, even if there's only one of them working there. That's pretty much okay. It's not an ideal circumstance, but it's okay. Alright, so this is done. We've got one in each. We don't really have the spare manpower to send more than that out yet. But we're doing okay. Our situation is pretty much okay right now. We've got plenty of wood and stone for the houses that we want to be building, but let's go ahead and get more stone, more wood, just in case our guys decide to go on a firewood chopping spree, of course. And what we're going to do after that is we're going to go set up another hunting cabin up here, and you're probably thinking 3 hunting cabins, but that's going to give us enough leeway to start working this tailor up much more efficiently and much more maxed out production. We can actually reduce our fishermen by 1 since our food looks like it's okay. Our food income looks pretty good. And yeah, that's going to basically make it so that we can constantly build our tailor. And once you've got your tailor constantly working instead of working these little sprints, you can actually start trading your fur. So once we've got that set up, and once we've got the infrastructure set up to feed into that, we're going to go ahead and have ourselves our trading port, which is very resource intensive, as you can see here. So make sure that you've got enough resources to actually make that once you get to that point, but should take a while before you're there. Going to get a little bit more iron, the reason being, of course, that we're chewing through a little bit every time we turn on our blacksmith. We're going to turn that on again anyhow. What's really nice is we were getting a trickle of ultra high efficiency workers instead of the normal workers, which is good. We don't want our uneducated clods doing dangerous work. Of course, our uneducated clods are refusing to actually go ahead and build this house, which I would love them to do. Build that. God damn. Okay. Looks like we can start working on a little bit more for our foresters. That's good. Okay. And we can start working on this now, I think. We're going to build this one up a little bit, the reason being that I think I want to put my early cow area down here. And the reason for that being it's a nice open area, it's relatively near the city, and it's a pretty good place, so I think that'll be a good place to start off our sheep and cows. Wow, I've never seen people take this long to build this house here, compared to, like, this one. We had the resources for it, I'm pretty sure, but, whatever. Okay, so this guy needs to be fired again, that's fine. It's got, like, the most transient job in existence. Okay, so we're getting quite a bit of leather out of these places, so... yeah, it looks like production is going pretty much fine. Got lots of venison for our people to eat, and that's going to sort of actually be a problem, is that they're going to have a really unbalanced diet with just lots and lots of venison, but that's okay. Okay, it looks like we can't actually build this road the way we want to, so we're going to build it up a bit. And we'll take it around... actually, no, let's not worry about that just yet. We'll just build this hunting cabin and see how things go from there. And once we've got this hunting cabin set up, we'll basically be in the clear to build our trading post. I've already got those trees set to harvest. Oh dear. Just don't have enough labor to get anything done. Let's go ahead and prioritize this guy, just so that we can get our guys working more efficiently, and that way we can build this trading port, because I keep hyping it up and we just never end up building it. It's just the way of things. Ride that hype train right to the ends of the earth. Okay, so this guy's done working up to 50. We're going to fire him. That way we got more people working on clearing things out so we can get these buildings done. Okay. And how are things working down here? Are we still getting a lot of production? Holy Jesus, are we ever getting a lot of production? Why can't you guys do that well? Interesting. Yeah, it looks like we're getting a lot of food out of this gatherer's hut. They're a really good source of steady food. Our food surplus has actually gone up to 2,000 now, so that's pretty good. I'm actually going to reset their cap. I want it to be like 50,000 instead of 5,000, just because like we don't want them to ever stop getting food. That would be silly. Alright, now the problem is that we did finish a year, so we are going to want to build more people, or more houses for people. There we go. And let's just check our demographics to make sure that was a wise idea. Yeah, it looks like we're going to need 3 more houses this year. This looks like it's going to be a growth year, so we're actually going to potentially not be able to build our trading port. We might not be able to afford it. And again, just look for sort of people who are not the sort of heads of the household, who are sort of 10 or 12 or whatever, and they'll be ready to move out. Okay. I might even build a 4th house this year. No, that would be too much growth, I think, for me to handle. I don't think I could actually grow that fast safely. We can hire another fisherman. That would be a good idea. Fortunately, as we get more people like this, they're more efficient than they used to be, so it's always a good thing. Get a guy on coats there, since we're up to 24 leather. Now, just in case that food situation starts to get really out of hand, I'm also going to queue up this, but this is not something that we're going to finish this year. This is something that we're going to have to work on for next year, just in case our growth, because of this, all is too fast and too furious, but we've got ourselves that hunting cabin finished, so we're going to be on the road to a little bit more food if we have to, so it's just not a good balanced diet is the problem, so we're going to work a little bit harder on that, and we're going to work a little bit harder on that, since we're not worried too much about people dying off just yet. Actually, let's check out our oldest people. They're at that age where I'm going to start worrying about that pretty soon, so we're going to turn this off, though, so that we're going to start working on that as soon as we've got our sort of resources all set. And that should be good for us. We've got a critical shortage of logs again. Got an order to cut all those logs actually, but yeah, let's get less people on hunting, I guess, less people on fishing for just a little while. Our food's going to tank quite quickly because of that order, but it's going to give us the labor we need to quickly cut down these trees, and then we can quickly reassign them back to fishing and hunting, which should help. Reserve of iron is also low. Peculiar. Yeah, I got people assigned to doing iron. That's weird. Alright, so all these buildings need to go up quite quickly. Otherwise our people will starve, so work faster, plebeians. Okay, with this done, we're probably going to be set. So this we're going to increase the limit on, so that was what that was. We're at the limit for the amount of hide coats that we can have. Don't know why that arrow's still staying there, but whatever. There we go. And the trading post has finally started going up. We're just going to have 3 people working on that at a time right now, since we want our other buildings also to go up. Okay. Looks like we're rebounding on food anyway. I think everyone just went shopping all at the same time, which is something that happens sometimes. It's very unfortunate, but whatever. Got more labor flowing in, so that's really good. Okay, so, I don't know. He's out of resources, so let's get everybody working on this sort of housing project. Yeah, we got sort of older people moving in and starting families now. That's not really good. You want them to be starting families as young as possible, which sounds kind of depraved, and it kind of probably is, but it is the way it is because of, like, medieval society being the way it is. Kind of need people so that they can work in the farm. Okay, let's get one person working in here. That's going to be plenty enough, especially since it's so close. And we're going to grab 3 sets of our hide vests, which is 60 hide vests, which is a lot of them, it sounds like, I know, but that's perfectly fine. Okay, let's get our fishermen and our hunters back online. Especially because we just got another windfall of laborers. Perfect. And we're actually going to jump straight into our next year's production of houses. Since our population is sort of going up, you want to manage it so it's not going up too quickly, but you always do want to keep in mind that you do want to keep a younger population going on in your town instead of a really old person town. The old person town just doesn't have the reproductive capabilities of a young person town in that they can't reproduce, so got to keep that in mind. Got to keep your population sort of young and fresh and hip and happening. I think this is a happening town. Of course, I wouldn't really know. mean? Like, do people even use the word happening anymore? I don't think so. Okay, so let's check our leather. Yeah, our leather should be coming in at a steady enough rate now that we can just have this guy constantly be working. And hopefully that's going to work out for us in the end, I hope. Not necessarily going to actually happen, but it's something that we can hope for. Now that we've got all that set up, the last thing that we're going to want to be doing at about this time is we want to build a graveyard, and I am kind of like rushing on this because I kind of wanted to have it done like earlier than now, but you know, there we go, 16 by 20, that ought to be big enough. And we're at that point where our people are going to start dying off, and if you don't have a graveyard built, it's a huge sap on the happiness of your citizens, so do get that up relatively soon. It costs a lot of stone, but that's all it costs, so it's kind of a weird, messed up building to have to do, but it's good for the morale of your citizens, and morale is quite important in this game, so we're going to go ahead and have that built up soon. I think you want to have it once your people start hitting about 50. That's when you're running that risk of people dying of old age. Okay, let's just increase that priority there. And it looks like I don't need this quite yet, so we're going to pause that again. And we're also going to increase priority of that, so we got just enough builders to get that done, so we've also got more than enough stone to get both those projects done, so we should be okay. Keep an eye on our resources though. We are running lower on iron, lower and lower, ever and ever. Okay, so there we go. I wonder why they will not build this house. They really don't want to build that one. How very disturbing. It's going to be like haunted or something. They're building it over like an ancient Native American burial ground or something. I don't actually know what that, like, I don't actually understand that saying. Like, I've never actually watched a horror movie where that was the reasoning for it, but it might just be something that's older than I am. I don't know. Or it might be an American thing? I don't know. Native Americans in Canada, I guess, are just a bit less vengeful than the ones in the States? I don't know here. Okay, we can put 2 more jackets into our trading port. Those are going to go in there quite quickly. And I think we've got enough that we can afford to build a pasture now. So that's going to be our next project. But as you can see, we've got ourselves a nice little trading port. And despite the fact that we've done no trading whatsoever, this is sort of how you do it. This is kind of the basic idea behind a trading port city. You make sure that you've got plenty of infrastructure set up to provide a hunting economy so that you can get lots of hide coats, and those hide coats can then be sold in the market. I'll show you that later on, but what we've got here is a pretty good idea for that, and we're going to expand on that even more later on. One of the things that you're going to want to consider, though, before the first trip that guy comes in with, you're going to want to build a nice long little dirt road over here, and you're going to want to go ahead and build a big old pasture so that when he does show up with like sheep or whatever, you'll have somewhere to put them. So go ahead, zone that. Not going to be a problem. Anyway, I hope you found this enjoyable, I hope you found this informative, and as always, I hope to see you all next time.